welcome to Amphibia. I don't know the rest. No, I don't. Okay. Yeah, how's everyone doing today, guys? My name's Seekos, and we're starting up a new vlog series. This is Amphibia. Doing this for a few reasons. One is, obviously, a lot of people consider Amphibia and the Owl House as like sister shows, and it makes sense mainly because they were both created by veterans of Gravity Falls. They both kind of feel Gravity Falls-ish, and they both have a lot of similarities with each other. And like I said before, my Owl House vlog, these were the two shows that popped up when I was scrolling Disney Plus, and I'm like, okay, which one am I gonna watch first? Now, like I said, the Owl House pulled me in a little bit more because it was more fantasy and mystical and stuff, and that just reminded me a lot about when I was growing up, because Harry Potter and Gravity Falls were two very influential things in my life, I would say. The Harry Potter movies, I watched all of them growing up, and then Gravity Falls rolled in, which was a really cool thing as well. Amphibia just... I'm just gonna say it, I kind of have... I don't have like a phobia of like reptiles, amphibians, bugs and stuff, but anytime I see them in shows and movies and they're usually bigger and, you know, creepier, it usually it sends a chill up my spine sometimes. But you know, a lot of people have been saying this is a really, really good show, and I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the cast itself. I mean, I remember going through the cast, and it's like you have Brenda Song as the lead. You have Bill Farmer, aka Goofy, in this thing. And that's just a few names. Like, you have a few Gravity Falls veterans coming back in this show. You have TJ Hill, who did the music for the Owl House, also did the music for Amphibia, and I can definitely hear the similarities. Also kind of funny, does anyone else think that the Amphibia theme, or the intro, I should say, don't you guys kind of feel like you're getting some Muppet vibes out of that? You know, I mean, I'm just, you know, the theme song for the Muppet Show, like, anyone else? Is it just me? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, okay. So, pretty much, there was just a lot of signals telling me that, hey, check this show out. And, you know, with the second half of season 2 starting up, you know, with, you know, getting back into action, I figured, you know, why not catch up on this show? Why not see all these episodes all the way through and get it back to the end? Hopefully the season 2 finale doesn't disappoint. I imagine it won't. But I haven't seen any episodes of season 2 yet. I'm doing these in order, so I'm going from episode 1 all the way to the season 2 finale. Now, the way I'm gonna do this series is I want to do each and every episode, like, you know, like each episode, like, so episode 1A, and this is episode 1A, which is Anne or Beast. And how I'm gonna post these videos is I'm gonna do 2 a day. So I'm gonna do episode 1A, and I'm posting these at 4. I'm gonna do episodes A at 4 o'clock, and then I'm gonna do episodes B at 8 o'clock. Because I feel like that's enough time in between to get enough in. Not to mention, those are just good enough times for me to post stuff. But I don't want to do an episode a day, or do one, like, I'm not going to do A on one day and then B another day, because if I did that, then there would be 39 episodes, and I don't want to be doing these all the way through. Because this is, I mean, 39 for this season only. I mean, and then the second season, I think there's 3 of the 20 episodes that are all the way through, so that's just adding more to the pile. And I don't want to be doing these for too long, especially with everything else going on in my life. I feel like if I dedicated a day to these, it would be crazy. So I'm gonna do 2 a day, and we'll just see how that goes. I mean, for the first season, it shouldn't be too hard, and I'll say I'm already through episode 3, and it's pretty. These are pretty fun episodes, and I'm not like. Okay, let's just get into this first episode before I go completely off track. So this is, like I said, this is episode 1A, the pilot. This is Anne or Beast. So one thing that caught me off guard right out of the gate was we're just in a way thrown right into the world because, I mean, well, besides the intro, which, you know, the intro pretty much sets it up. It's like, hey, 3 girls open this magical box, they get sucked in, and now they're in this world that it's in the shape of a lily pad. Like I said, the theme is really catchy. I definitely like humming it here and there. And TJ Hill, this guy's good. I mean, he's on a roll really with Amphibia and the Owl House. So I really want to see what more he can do with this music. I imagine in this show, and then whenever the season 2 of the Owl House will come out, his music is gonna be really, really cranking up. So yeah, so we're thrown right into this world, and just there's a lot going on, and I like the idea of how for the first half of the episode we're seeing everything through the perspective of the family, and the population and the people, like, or the amphibians, I guess. Because you think with your main character being, you know, the one that's stuck in this world, you would be focusing on her perspective. And so I'm already doing a compare and contrast of this in the Owl House, because in the Owl House you start with Luce in the human world, and then she stumbles upon the fan world of magic and witches. This one, you start off in the magical world with the family, and then they stumble upon this human from a different world. So it would be kind of like if we spent in the Owl House pilot, if we focused on Ida and then we had Luz show up out of nowhere. That would have been interesting, but it makes more sense in this episode, because in this show, because they start off with Anne being kind of like this monster in the woods kind of thing, you know, because someone goes to the woods and they see Anne, but it's kind of like this dark shadowy figure, so they get frightened, and they then warn the town, and they say that there's this giant beast in the forest, and that something needs to be done about it. And so we cut to the next, and this is at night, so, you know, just a lot of things stacking against Anne already in this. And so we cut to the next day, where we have the family, which is Hop Pop, like I said, is voiced by the Bill Farmer who voices Goofy. Just feels so weird to hear his voice like sound like an old man rather than Goofy. And so he's there with his kids, Sprig and Polly. Polly's kind of like this tadpole. I like that. I like that concept. She always has to kind of be in a bucket of water, so that way she can stay alive. Well, Sprig is, you know, he's a kid, and I'll admit he wasn't fully annoying. I thought he was gonna. I mean, I like kind of how you kind of have like that assumption that the kids are gonna be a little bit annoying to start, but then they grow on you. Like I mean, he is a kid, and he is a little bit of annoying in this, but he kind of comes around really quickly, or I say really quickly in this episode, but like he doesn't start off like that. So like it starts off as this simple thing, like the you know, Hop is like, okay, I want you to stay in the cart, and then Sprig's like, why? And he's like, and Hop's like, cause you're irresponsible. And then Sprig's like, when have I done anything that's been irresponsible? And then, of course, anytime that happens, you cut to a montage of him doing irresponsible things, and usually that's like, okay, the routine. But what I like about this show is they do a trope, but then they add but then they add a little joke to it. So like this one, like, you know, you see all the irresponsible things that Sprig did, And then they cut back to Sprig looking at on the car with Hop Hop, and he's like, "Okay, okay, okay. Yesterday was pretty rough." And it's just like that line completely makes the whole thing funny because it's like, "Oh, that was everything he did yesterday," and it's so funny because I mean, because yeah, you don't think about stuff like that when you see something happen in the past, and it's like it's super clever to have that in a show like this, especially for a kids show. And because it's like, well, yeah, kids do stupid things literally on a daily basis, so of course it would be funny for people watching. I mean, not everyone. I imagine for some kids some of these jokes would definitely go over kids' heads, just like Gravity Falls and Owl House. So pretty much Hop Hop is like, okay, you two stay in the car, and so Sprig at first is willing to stay in the car, but he wants to prove to Hop Hop that he is responsible, and so that's when the word about the monster comes in, and it's by Mayor Toadstool, which Buddy Gleeful from Gravity Falls, just his voice instantly. I'm like, do you have a son? I'm like, do you have a psychotic son that wants to take over the world? Like literally, that was my first question. But so far he doesn't have a kid yet. I don't know. So he basically offers up a reward to whoever can. So he offers up a reward for whoever can capture this beast. So of course Sprig takes on the task, and he and so Polly like is trying to keep him in the car, but then Sprig bribes her with candy. So just the classic bribing a kid thing. So Sprig goes off on his own and he tries to hunt Anne, who is, I mean, I don't think it's too much of a spoiler of who the monster is, because when we see her early on in the episode, we see her like her silhouette, and it's like it's easy to tell if you looked at her in the intro and you see her there. It makes sense. Not to mention, it's this is what the whole series is about. So it's weird that we start off with this family. Yeah. So while Sprig is hunting and turns out Anne's also doing some hunting because she crafted this rope trap that Sprig gets caught in, and of course Anne at first is going to attack, but then Sprig, is like, Sprig basically reveals that he's a kid, and so the two have a moment, and then but it turns out there actually is a monster in the forest, and it's a giant mantis. That was kind of creepy. Like that was one of those moments where I'm just looking and I'm like, I would be, if I was in Anne's position, I would just drop dead. Like, because you just see a gigantic bug just there. It's just, oh my god. And so it was so creepy. And so Anne at first takes off, she saves Sprig from the mantis, and then the two hide out, and then so then meanwhile Hop Pop goes back and finds Polly, and she's like, I was weak. And so they're like, what's going on? And then I don't know if it was Polly who said it, but someone like said the monster, it must have been the monster that got Sprig. And so they start up an angry mob, and so the people start up an angry mob, and then they go and they start attacking, and then, or no, they go into the forest, and then so while Anne and Sprig, they hide, and so Sprig asks if she remembered anything, or like, well, first Anne's like, I haven't eaten anything in days, and so Sprig's like, well, we got plenty to eat. We have bugs, we have shrooms. I'm like, yeah, shrooms. You gotta love the shrooms, right? So he then asks like, how did she even get there? And no, she says she doesn't remember, and so at first it's like, okay, yeah, maybe you can buy that, but we learn by the end of the episode not exactly the case. So pretty much everything comes to fruition because the monster shows up, and little interesting thing about this episode is Anne is it makes sense that Anne is very untrustworthy of the people of the citizens because at first because she's like Spriggs, like what are you gonna why are you trying to hunt me? So she's kind of on edge because like she said she's been alone for days, she hasn't eaten anything, and so at first it seems like she and Sprig are gonna be fine, but then all of a sudden the citizens come in and they rope Anne down, and so Anne, I mean, she kind of turns on Sprig a little too quick, saying like, "You sold me out. What the heck?" And it's like, I thought we were connecting." And I love. It's so weird to hear Brenda Song's only Brenda Song's voice because I grew up with the Zach and with Sliwa and Zach and Cody and Sliwa on deck. So like just I'm so used to hearing Brenda Song's voice and seeing her face. So to only hear her voice coming out of this girl's mouth is so weird. But I'm slowly getting used to it, and I really like her deliveries of these lines because it's just so funny. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, you some of these lines, if you just said them straight out, they probably wouldn't be as funny. But it's her delivery that really makes them get a chuckle. Like some of them, I definitely got. I actually kind of burst out laughing at. There's one later. Like I said, I got through episode 3. Oh, wait until we get to episode 3. I'm gonna have fun with that, talking about that one. But then okay, but back to this one. So Anne gets captured, but then the mantis comes back, and so they have to. The people. I love how the people immediately go into an attack formation, but it doesn't work because I like how what happens. It's like they try to scare the mantis off, and they're like. And it seems like it worked because the mantis like they backs off and then goes and then leaves and they're like, oh wow, that actually worked. And then a bigger mantis comes in from behind, and they're like, "Oh, that makes more sense." It's so freaking stupid, but it's like you just got these twist upon twist upon twist. It's like, oh, there's a monster in the woods. Oh no, it's just this girl. Oh wait, there actually is a monster. It's this mantis. Oh wait, no. We can act. Oh wait, don't worry, we can handle this mantis. It's pretty. It's as scared as us as we are of them. Oh wait, no, there isn't. It's just like it just keeps going. But I mean, the more aggressive, bigger mantis is the last one, and the battle is pretty straightforward, but I did like it. I thought it was very creative because it's Anne, being a human, she's bigger than everyone else, so she's able to kind of hold off this mantis, and then the citizens, the townspeople, they start roping it up, and it seems and at first it doesn't work because they can't hold him down, but then Anne grabs the rope, and since she's bigger, she's able to just I was wondering. I thought at first the rope would like slice through the mantis because of how fast it went down like this, but it was simple and it just went down, and so yeah. So and everyone praises Anne as a hero, and but or not at first because Sprig has to kind of vouch for her and say like, hey, she's not that old, she's not that bad. I mean, look, she just helped us with this thing. We gotta give her some credit, and not to mention she's lost. She's lost. She doesn't know where she is and stuff like that. And so he kind of he takes responsibility, which hence the episode. And so the mayor's like, okay, well, you guys can take care of her then and make sure she doesn't get any trouble and stuff like that. And again, makes sense. So Hop offer, and Anne's like, well, thanks, guys, but I really should be trying to get going and try and figure out how to get home. And then Hop's like, well, if you want to leave, you're staying here for a little bit because, that classic thing. Hey, well, sorry, but you're kind of stuck here for a little bit because of blah. But this one, I like this one because what it sets up that eventually we're gonna get to this point. Unlike others where it's like, how long am I gonna be stuck here? No idea. Like with Luce at the end of the first season in the Owl House, she destroys the portal home, so we don't know how long she'll be away from home. This one, it's more, it's like, where should I go? Well, the place that we think you should go is way beyond these lands, and unfortunately, this is the time of year where the mountains are completely unpassable. Even Polly's like, if you try to cross them now, you'll die. It's like, Polly is really creepy in this show so far. Like, she has her moments where she acts like the little kid, but then she has the moments where she acts like a complete psycho. And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to know what happens when she fully becomes. So basically, she goes to them. She goes home with them. They're the planters. So they go. So she gets her own place area to sleep, which is the basement, and they go down and wish her good night. But then she wishes them a good night. But then once they leave, she then pulls out the music box that she calls it. Not in this episode, but in the next episode, she pulls out the music box and then she opens it up and nothing happens. Like, she kind of closes her eyes for a sec because she's like, okay, and nothing happens. And the episode pretty much ends there. So, in terms of a pilot and setting up this world, I did kind of like the spin on the whole thing. Like I said, it was interesting to focus on the people and Hop Hop and Sprig, the people in Sprig and the planters, rather than focusing on how Anne got there in the first place. I mean, like I said, the intro kind of sets it up, just because she's there with her friends and they get sucked in, and yeah, it makes sense. So, in terms of who are Anne's friends, like, we don't know for this episode, but the next episode, like I said, episode 1B kind of sheds a little more light on this and a little more information on how exactly they came to possession of this thing and how they, all this stuff came to be. So, yeah, but in terms of a pilot, I really liked this. I thought it was fun. I thought there was a few good jokes. I thought the world building to start was pretty clever and pretty simple for now. I mean, from what I've heard, from what I've seen, this world just, oh my god, the world building is going to blow up, according to what I've seen. So, I mean, I'm excited. I definitely think this would be an interesting world to explore. Kind of getting some Lord of the Rings vibes with that, and even some people have made some Legend of Zelda nods as well, and that makes sense. I mean, this is a fantasy world, so you're gonna see a lot of fantasy-like things. So yeah, okay, well, hope you guys enjoyed that video. Let me know in the comments or just anything, I guess, at this point, because I'm guessing viewer count nowadays, my viewer count is probably not going to be enough for me to get suggestions on this. So, all right, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want. Not requiring it. I'm just saying it. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.